Recently, our president has been talking about some pretty crazy economic plans that he wants to implement, but from all the tax cuts and the tariffs, the craziest one, or at least to me, is his plan to eliminate the federal income tax. Donald Trump's plan to scrap the federal income tax and switch to tariffs sounds like a bold move to say the least, and everybody and their grandma has suddenly become an expert on economics thanks to this controversial concept. But wait, it gets even better. The plan is backed by the newly established Department of Government Efficiency, which is led by this guy. So let's break it down. First off, what exactly is Trump proposing? The plan is, instead of taxing our paychecks like we have been with the federal income tax since 1913, the president envisions a system where revenue comes from tariffs on imported goods. In his words, why tax our citizens when you can tax everyone else? But here's the thing, the federal government currently collects roughly $2 trillion a year from federal income taxes to fund everything from Social Security to defense. Meanwhile, tariffs currently only bring in about $30 to $40 billion annually. Under Trump's plan, if we taxed last year's $4 trillion in imports at a 10% rate, that would have netted us around $400 billion, maybe up to $800 billion at a 20% rate. But even at the high end, that's only 20 to 35% of what we're getting from the federal income tax. Knowing this, the White House's resident billionaire, Elon Musk, and the Department of Government Efficiency is at work slashing wasteful spending and modernizing federal agencies. Even agencies like the IRS aren't safe. Essentially, DOGE is meant to tighten up the government's belt so that when we switch from income taxes to tariffs, we're spending smarter instead of wastefully. At the time of recording, they've managed to save $55 billion since Trump's inauguration about a month ago, which comes to about $1.7 billion a day. The role of DOGE is twofold. First, it will audit federal spending to identify inefficiencies and recommend cuts, and secondly, it will prioritize important purchases like $8 million worth of condoms worldwide. And it will also be reworking outdated systems like those at the IRS to reduce compliance costs and reallocating resources to make sure every dollar is maximized. But here's the kicker, even if DOGE manages to trim billions from the federal budget by slashing excess employees and outdated programs, the tariff revenue of $400 to $800 billion a year still falls far short of the current $2 trillion that the federal income tax brings in. That means unless Congress either cuts spending drastically or finds another revenue source that's 2 to 3 times more than the tariff tax, our government's vault could end up looking a lot emptier. But since that's the government's problem, what does this have to do with you? Higher tariffs mean higher prices on your new smartphone, your sneakers, your TV, your food, your wife, and pretty much everything else. But we'll get back to this in a minute. Critics worry that the aggressive cuts by DOGE might hurt essential services. For instance, reassigning IRS agents and dismantling agencies without proper oversight or due process could lead to a loss of important functions like consumer protection and national security, making it a field day for scammers and criminals. On the flip side, supporters argue that a leaner, more efficient government will run smoother, reduce waste, and ultimately allow the government to use less money to keep the country functioning at a fraction of the current price. And this could theoretically lead to more justifiable tax cuts for the rest of us. In theory, DOGE could even help streamline the transition to a tariff-based revenue system, ensuring that every dollar collected goes further. So, what's the potential impact? Trump's plan promises bigger paychecks by eliminating income tax, with tariff revenue bringing in $400 to $800 billion a year. But that's only a fraction of the current revenue, so without major spending cuts, we might see a budget shortfall that could lead to higher prices, inflation, and even service disruptions. The effect on you is that you might finally see egg prices reach $20. I'm joking, of course, but prices for everyday items will skyrocket because you can't just take $1.2 trillion away from the government and expect your life to be easier, because businesses will be paying more to bring products in the US and lose money. They will rightfully, but not morally, be forced to raise prices and go to war with the United States economy. This trade war between the US and the world is the worst case scenario, and it's the job of DOGE to avoid this at all costs. It aims to turn government inefficiency on its head, but its extreme methods and sweeping cuts are stirring a fierce debate amongst normies on Twitter, X. There will be more money in your pocket, but it might be much less powerful than it is today, because everything else will cost too much to balance it out. It seems to me that no matter what happens, I'm never going to feel rich. So, will DOGE revolutionize federal spending, or will it end up causing more problems than it solves? I have no idea, so only time and a few legal battles will tell. The next episode of the hit TV series American Politics seems to be heating up, and I'd like to know your review of this episode down below. I didn't even talk about how other countries would react and how that would affect you, so there's more to come. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more rapid-fire finance and government insights, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Is a tariff-based system with DOGE at the front the future of an American revolution, or is it a recipe for fiscal chaos? I have no idea, but if you want to check out our president's other crazy proposal that's actually moving up in priority, then click the video on your screen and I'll see you on the next one.